are you? Welcome to the great city of Chicago and welcome to the University of Chicago campus. My name is Kafi Marini-Patterson. I'm the Director of Student Civic Education and the University Community Service Center located within the great Office of Civic Engagement here at the University of Chicago.
My name is Shaz Rasool. I'm the Executive Director of Student Civic Engagement. I've been working in the university's Office of Civic Engagement for a decade now, and I've been able to connect thousands of university students to local schools and community organizations.
I want to encourage you to explore the city, imagine possibilities for civic engagement even in this virtual world, and think about all of the ways that your work intersects with the experiences and opportunities that you're surrounded by in these diverse and amazing neighborhoods.
Today you'll meet Chicagoans from across the city, most from the South Side, who make civic engagement a big part of their lives. You'll see that civic engagement exists in all disciplines, from arts and culture to STEM, social media to environmental justice, politics to education.
So my challenge for you is, what will your legacy at the University of Chicago be? And what kind of future will you design?
Our hope is that you'll learn about the city of Chicago through these experiences, find new inspirations, maybe make new friends, and see how your skills and interests can help make a difference while you are a student at the University of Chicago.
Please use today's programming to start reimagining what it means to be civically engaged during a pandemic and what kind of work you can do in a city as great as Chicago.
Hi, I'm Illinois Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, and I am so excited to be here today to have a conversation about college and community, Chicago, and just life.
Hi, I'm Steve Edwards. I am the Chief Content Officer and Interim CEO of WBEZ 91.5 FM, Chicago's NPR news station. Before that, I was the Executive Director of the Institute of Politics at the University of Chicago. I'm a journalist by profession and a Chicagoan since graduating from college, and I'm proud to call it my home.
Hi, I'm Toni Preckwinkle. I'm president of the Cook County Board of Commissioners in Cook County, which is the county in which Chicago is located. It's 5.2 million people, the second largest county in the country. I've served in this position for the last 10 years. Prior to that, for almost 20 years, I was alderman of the 4th Ward.
My name is Jonathan Rosa. I'm a faculty member at Stanford University in the Graduate School of Education, and I obtained my PhD at the University of Chicago in anthropology a few years ago.
Hello, my name is Ramon Static, Chicago's best kept secret in visual art. I'm known for a lot of murals, illustrations, and graphic design projects that I've done around the city of Chicago and the world abroad.
I am George Wu, the John P. and Lillian A. Gould Professor of Behavioral Science at the Booth School of Business.
Hi everyone, my name is Tanisha Peoples and I am the Deputy Director of Activist Development with the national nonprofit organization called Brightbeam. I am a lifelong hardcore Chicagoan. I grew up on the South Side, born and raised in Inglewood.
My name is Kevin Corlett. I'm a professor and former chair of the Department of Mathematics. A month ago, I became the director of something called the Institute for Mathematical and Statistical Innovation, or IMSI for short.
To my 1,900 new students that's coming to the University of Chicago, new on campus, welcome to not only Chicago, the South Side of Chicago. You're coming to a role within its own. It's the South Side of Chicago. A lot of great things and great people come off the South Side of Chicago to change the world.
This is an amazing city. This is a city that will open itself up to you and embrace you if you do the same in return. It's also a city where ideas and opportunities abound at every turn.
Take advantage of the art, theater, restaurants, and music that we have in Chicago and across the state as well.
The city of Chicago is a profound site for the production of knowledge, a profound site for imagining, recognizing modes of social transformation.
I suppose there are a lot of things you could love about cities. What I love about my city is how diverse it is.
There is a lot of culture here in the various neighborhoods. We have large Polish, Greek, African American, Chinese, Mexican, Caribbean, and so much more in terms of neighborhoods.
You know, you can walk down the street and see all kinds of different folks, hear lots of different languages spoken, and I think that reflects the best of our country.
Within a mile radius of my house, you can find so much of the richness of Chicago history.
It has a lot of diversity. It has a lot of rich history. It has a lot of bold and interesting and resilient people.
Your campus is the entire city, not just the acreage in and around Hyde Park.
It's the third largest city, but it's not overwhelming. The transportation system is like a pulsing artery that connects neighborhoods to one another. So there will be opportunities to explore.
Get engaged, be curious, explore, and bring an open mind.
I wanted to talk to you all a little bit about how over the course of my time as a student at the University of Chicago, when I arrived on campus, I was seeking out intellectual intensity and rigor, and I certainly encountered that when I began my PhD studies. However, I also began working with community-based organizations in schools throughout the city of Chicago on the South Side and especially the near Northwest Side. And I was working very closely with the Puerto Rican Cultural Center in Humboldt Park around a whole range of community-based projects focused on gentrification or displacement, focused on providing housing and job training for houseless LGBTQ Latinx youth, especially houseless trans youth. So what I wanted to share with you all is the way that we often presume that the university is this space where knowledge is produced, that professors are holders of knowledge, and that learning takes place in a rote way by kind of memorizing or what professors have memorized or studied, and by simply engaging in classroom dialogues and discussions. What I learned over the course of my time as a student at the University of Chicago is that while the university does a great job of giving order to and schematizing existing knowledge, actually communities are where knowledge is produced everywhere. My interest was emerging from things that I was experiencing, not only in my everyday life, but also in the work that I was doing in communities throughout the city of Chicago. So I was paying close attention to the ways that youth and residents in the predominantly Puerto Rican, Mexican, and in some cases African American and Polish neighborhoods where I was working were grappling with questions about civic belonging, political belonging, and exclusion, often existential forms of exclusion. So grappling with what a nation is, what citizenship is, grappling with forms of communication that were systematically stigmatized or framed as deficient and in need of remediation. And, various community members for whom the idea of monolingualism or monolectalism, only speaking one language or using one language or one variety of one language, simply is unthinkable. So various populations for whom these categories of communication don't make sense. And residents throughout the city of Chicago who are grappling with race and ethnicity as complex historical inheritances, but also as sites for political struggle around questions about solidarity, questions again about historical reckoning, questions about our responsibility to one another, to sustain one another's well-being. And so the work at the university in seminar rooms and the work in communities and neighborhoods throughout the city of Chicago really reverberated with one another in terms of informing my own research. And I want to encourage you all to be open to that possibility as well, and open to sort of unsettling your assumptions, if you have them, about what mainstream institutions are as knowledge producers and holders, and to kind of rethink whether there's a much broader set of knowledge producers that we haven't been paying attention to, and by extension, a broader set of knowledges about possible worlds. And really, as students at U of C, humbling yourselves and recognizing again the harm that the institution and the city have visited upon really millions of residents of the city of Chicago, and thinking really carefully about what your responsibility is to respond to that and to disrupt those systems of marginalization and exclusion and disposability. And so as we're thinking about this incredibly complex moment, it's not a time to presume that we can return to some pre-existing normal, which was never sustainable in terms of making life livable collectively. In fact, was predicated upon various forms of disposability. Part of what we're faced with right now are questions around what kind of a possible world in which alternative ways of being and relating, alternative ways of maintaining one another's well-being are front and center. And so I invite you all to participate in that dialogue and that debate vigorously, humbly, and creatively. And I'm excited about the work that will come out of it. So I wish you all the best.
If you're talking about being a grassroots activist in Chicago, you have to be in the communities. You have to build relationships with the residents, with the local leaders, with the community-based organizations, the nonprofits, as well as the elected officials, because we're all players in this ecosystem, again, that's needed to support and uplift the work that we want to do as activists.
The community engagement and civic engagement helps create the work to be more in context to the people that has to live with it.
Politics is public service. And, I was alderman of the 4th Ward for 19 years. And basically what we did most of the time was constituent service. It wasn't just getting lights that were out, turned on, or filling potholes. It was helping families find affordable housing, helping young people and adults find employment, helping community residents get their kids into really good schools.
In every respect, it's about engaging with people in neighborhoods and people on the ground who are working in organizations making change. They, in many respects, are the real experts to the problems and challenges and solutions.
It has to interact with it right there. And one thing that makes public art powerful is that it's in context. The people that have to live with it feels that it represents them and gives their community cultural identity. That's the job of a public artist.
It was one of the things that I found most attractive about the job of being alderman. Another part of it, of course, that I enjoyed tremendously was the opportunity to rebuild and build communities. There are a lot of challenges that go with public service and public life, but there are tremendous rewards as well. When I was a first-year student at the University of Chicago, orientation was 2 weeks. I understand it's a little shorter now. And one of the tortures that we endured was 10 academic tests to place you appropriately in a variety of disciplines. So we had 2 humanities tests, we had 2 social science tests, we had math and biology. I don't know if we had physics, physical sciences, biological sciences, language. In any case, 10. And that doesn't count the athletic tests that we had, which, c'est moi, I did really well. I wish I'd done as well on the academic side. So I placed out a couple of classes and I was feeling pretty good about myself. And I found my roommate in the middle of the quads, just in tears and terribly distressed. And I did what I could to comfort her and get her to calm down. And I finally got her to tell me why she was so worried. And it was because she placed out of only 8 of the 10 subjects that we were tested in. Now, this meant, of course, she was going to graduate in 3 years rather than 4, but that she thought her parents would be really disappointed in her. And all I could think of is, what the heck have I gotten myself into? A place where a young woman, bright and talented, is crying in the middle of the quads because she only placed out of 8 of the 10 subjects. I had a really hard time my first year in college. I want you to know that I got 2 Ds and 2 Fs. I spent my second year on academic probation. By the time I got out, I was a pretty good student. And I learned how to study, which is the most important thing you can do in college, is learn how to study. Because if you learn how to study, you can teach yourself anything.
I think for me, one of the great gifts has been the realization that the work of a journalist is really not about a byline or a show you host or a program that you lead. It's actually about the wisdom of others.
I evaluate and survey the community in which I'm working in, starting off by doing basic internet research to learn the basis of the community, even the communities I may think I'm familiar with. To talk to some kind of community elders What I mean by that is people that have been a part of that community for some years. And what I mean by some years, for generations, to be exact, that watch the community change.
So while it's not true of everyone, most of the women I know in public life came into politics as a result of their community work. They were involved in the parent-teacher organization. They were involved, in my case, in Park District and other community activities. They worked in political campaigns. Not the route of many men, which is, a legal career and then running for public office. It's much more likely that women come into office having been involved in one or another kinds of community activities. And I think that's healthy, both for our democracy, and it reflects the different trajectories of women and men in public life.
Working with the community keeps me centered in those values and in those morals, and keeps me attuned to what the issues are, so that I can constantly evolve my messaging and my voice and my stance and my strategy, so that I can again push the issues and the voices forward, so that we can see growth and so that we can see change. And so a lot of people think that learning stops in school, but it doesn't. Learning happens in our communities. It happens in books. It happens in history, and it happens when we seek to teach ourselves, and it happens from others. There are so many activists that are older than me, younger than me, and we need all of those voices and all of those ideas at the table so that we can impact change.
I encourage you to be involved in the community, the broader community, and in particular to figure out ways in which you can use your talents and energy to be of service to the people of the city of Chicago. And I hope that you, like me, stay here and become one of us.
I came to the University of Chicago in 1987, shortly after finishing my PhD. I was hired as a visiting instructor because the department needed someone to teach a section of calculus. I had the good fortune of never having had to leave, and I've lived in Hyde Park ever since, never more than a 15-minute walk from campus. Most of my research has been in algebraic and differential geometry, and very much in the domain of what's often called pure mathematics. MC is taking me in a very different intellectual and personal direction, since it's very much focused on applications of the mathematical sciences, and I am by no stretch of the imagination an applied mathematician. One of the features of the Institute that matters to me is that it focuses on scientific questions which are important for society at large. Scientific activity at INSEE will be organized around a number of themes, including climate change, data science, healthcare, and quantum information. So for example, one of the very first events that we'll host is a conference in late October on COVID-19. This conference will bring together epidemiologists, data scientists, economists, and people working on vaccine development to give a holistic view of the challenges presented by COVID-19. There are many possibilities for engagement with the community outside the university. For math students, there are programs operating out of the Department of Mathematics that serve students and teachers in the Chicago Public Schools. One of these is the Young Scholars Program, which is a summer program for middle and high school students, which uses undergraduate counselors to work with students. My colleague Bob Pfefferman runs a summer program for CPS teachers, which uses undergraduates as teaching assistants. A bit farther away from mathematics, the American Statistical Association has its Statistics in the Community network. This program provides a framework within which students can offer pro bono consulting to local nonprofit, governmental, and community organizations. It's remarkable how seemingly abstract ideas can have profound real-world consequences. To give just one example, the idea of an artificial neural network is a simple mathematical idea that was formulated in 1943. And yet, that simple idea has led to developments that we're seeing today. Developments ranging from spam filters for our email, to improved medical diagnoses and treatment strategies through machine learning, to self-driving cars, to the algorithms that determine what we see and who we interact with on social media. The power of many of the ideas that emerge from STEM research makes attending to the potential effects of that research essential. I don't think STEM researchers can afford to leave that job entirely to other people. Also worth contemplating the fact that STEM research and education is a human activity, and the ways it's conducted on a human level have an impact on who ends up doing work in STEM, which questions get asked, and which problems get solved. I think about the process by which I became a mathematician as a series of conversion experiences in which I came to see the beauty of mathematics. Those kinds of experiences aren't easily available to everyone, and I think it's worthwhile for those of us who have had them to try to make them accessible to others. One of the greatest joys in teaching is to see the lights go on for someone when they finally get an idea they've been struggling with.
It's very important that university students be ambassadors for the university. The university has an interesting and sometimes problematic history and relationship with the communities around it, and I think it's incumbent upon all of us who have been or are students to do the best we can to be ambassadors for the university and show our best face to the community.
Link with people that have like minds as you to learn more about the city. So instead of being locked in your dorm room, connect with individuals that have like interests that you have right there, right? So what I mean by that, if you're in the art, find other artists. If you're in the music, find other musicians that are local to that area. Because believe it or not, that's the easier way to find your way in to connect culturally.
I would say, again, invest in the community. Really get out in the communities. Go beyond Hyde Park.
I encourage you to be engaged not just in campus activities, but community activities, and to enjoy and learn about the city.
To be a good ambassador is to really invest in the communities and know the history and invest in the people and listen to their voices.
When I come to someone else's town, I respect the land in which I'm on, the laws of the land, the cultures and traditions that have existed there before I've came there right there. I don't expect for any cultural traditions to change because I come to your place. I expect for you to live exactly where you live, as if I wasn't there, because I'm just kind of a guest in your house, right?
And that the university has much more to be gained by opening itself up to the treasures and challenges and resources of the city as a whole.
I want to start by welcoming you to the University of Chicago family. I'm envious of what you all have in store for you. 4 years of amazing classes, a veritable intellectual candy shop. But there's more than just academics. Most of you grew up far away from Hyde Park. Part of your education as a student at one of America's great urban campuses is to learn about the great city of Chicago. I, like most of you, am not a native of Chicago. I grew up largely on the East Coast. I went to college and got my PhD there. I joined the University of Chicago in 1997 and have lived on the South Side for a decade now. You see what makes Chicago so challenging and heartbreaking. Not far from multi-million-dollar mansions, you'll find empty lots, boarded-up houses, the remnants of housing projects, or schools that lack soap and paper towels. The pandemic and the aftermath of George Floyd's death has made salient the great disparities between the haves and the have-nots. And sadly, these have only become wider as a result of the pandemic. Part of my research is devoted to understanding volunteerism. Although that might sound like an odd topic for a business school professor, it actually isn't. Faculty at Booth studied basic academic disciplines, economics, statistics, sociology, and in my case, psychology, with the dual goal of understanding concepts that are general and apply to most human endeavors, as well as concepts that are useful for helping managers navigate their worlds. Understanding why people volunteer is useful for management because it reveals that people in organizations are not just motivated by salary and position, but also by whether they feel their business is doing something that is consistent with their values and their identity. In 2013, annual charitable contributions in the United States totaled $229 billion. Interestingly, the monetary equivalent of American volunteer hours was almost identical, nearly 200 billion. In other words, time is money. But time isn't money. Time is special, and volunteering is special. Over the next 4 years, many activities will compete for your time. Classes, papers, problem sets, sports, social events, sleep, and I hope community engagement. And volunteering is meaningful precisely because there are so many demands on your time. Because you're giving up something that's scarce and not easily replenished, you're speaking about your values and your identity. If this sounds abstract, here's an analogy. A good friend is sad and needs something to boost his or her spirits. You recognize that cookies would help. You can buy some cookies, or alternatively, you could bake a batch. I'm guessing that you share my intuition. You're a good friend either way, but most likely will be seen as an even better friend when you're a baker, even if you're not a good baker. Investing time is a signal, in this case of your friendship. There's one other thing that's different about time than money, or volunteering than donations. Connection. Ideally, community engagement gets you out into the community to see the impact of your work and to engage with the beneficiaries of your effort. In other words, volunteering establishes connection. I started by saying that the upheavals of the last 6 months has opened up our minds. I'll add something to this. Hopefully it has opened up your hearts as well. something that will continue when you engage with the community over the course of your college life. Once again, congratulations. You have an exciting and transformative 4 years to come. And as someone who loves the city of Chicago, I can't wait to see the impact that your talents and energies will have on making Chicago a better place for everyone.
All of the scholars, I hope you're feeling good and are ready for this new adventure. I know that this is an exciting time for you. I'm sure that being in this COVID climate of doing things differently is just not quite how you envisioned beginning your school year. In fact, it's quite a lot to unpack. Virtual learning, wearing your masks, social distancing, and changing how you safely interact with your friends, all of that is very challenging. We also know that COVID-19 has made glaringly clear the disparities that exist in our healthcare services, the economy, and our education system. In Illinois, Governor Pritzker and I are committing hundreds of millions of dollars in grants and programs to help the underserved with daycare, healthcare, rent and mortgage payments, and to support small businesses. I'm telling you this because as students and citizens of the world, you should be aware of what your local, state, and federal governments are doing for the greater good of society. You must hold us accountable. I've learned this from people like my father, who marched in Selma along with John Lewis and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., demanding equal voting rights for all. This was a big part of my upbringing when I was raised on the South Side of Chicago. I also have a strong connection to the University of Chicago. I attended grammar school at Lab School, and both my mother and my aunt and my niece graduated from the University of Chicago. I attended college at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign and law school at DePaul. So I've grown up here in Chicago and in Illinois, and I love that I can give back by serving as the second in command to Governor Pritzker. I have learned that engaging in dialogue about government and the community around you is important. I have 3 daughters who are about your age, and we talk about the social unrest that's spilling out into the streets and what we can each do about it. What we are seeing in our country, the repeated chronic violence against Black men and women at the hands of police, is unconscionable, and we must continue demanding accountability. We must also continue to speak the names of Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Jacob Blake, Elijah McClain, Tony McDade, and so many others. Your generation is at the center of this push for change. Please continue to protest systemic racism, whatever form it takes for you. And remember that it's never enough to just say, I'm not a racist. We must actively be anti-racist. You have a legacy to uphold. That legacy comes from the women who fought for the right to vote, the soldiers of the civil rights movement who fought for racial equality, and all of the U of C graduates who make up a large percentage of the foremost leaders in medicine, social work, and academia. Clearly, there is work to be done. What can you do? Well, you can vote and be engaged and give back to your community. When I was invited to speak today, someone asked if politics and community intersect. Politics and community go hand in hand. I fight for policy changes, legislation, and funding that will help communities across the state. If the University of Chicago were a person and spread her arms, her fingertips would be in both Woodlawn and Hyde Park. That reach is important. As students, you'll love your campus, the intellect and the challenge of learning. That's what you will get, but it's not right to take and not give back. As students, you should also love and respect the community. Learn the history of Woodlawn and Hyde Park, and then make them your own. Chicago has a rich history of volunteering. There is also a wealth of internship opportunities as well, so please take advantage of those. As you become more comfortable on campus and get to know the various neighborhoods, look for a nonprofit to engage with. Use the skills that you have to uplift their missions, and you will feel energized. That also will make you a true Chicagoan. Now listen, we have you here now, and we're not going to let you go. We're going to keep an eye on you and make sure that this is a wonderful experience. Now go out and do some real great things.
I think that community organizing is, if not the ultimate tool, definitely one tool for impacting change or influencing change and improving the conditions of people.
Even if you have a rough start, don't give up on yourself and don't give up on the university. I always say that at the University of Chicago, I learned to read carefully, to write clearly, and to think critically, and that's all you can expect of a college education.
In conclusion, what you do or don't do matters more than ever. Please be open to reimagining what it might mean to be civically engaged during a pandemic. And so I challenge you to think about how you interact with members of the community and present yourself as a UChicago student. Now, please return to your individualized Zoom rooms where the bulk of programming will happen. In these rooms, you will meet dedicated staff from across the university campus and community partners doing amazing work at the intersection of civic engagement and myriad topics. Have a great day and make the most of this amazing opportunity.